They told you that if you treated her like a queen, she would give you her love. They told you that if you were patient, attentive, and thoughtful, she would finally see your value. They lied to you, because every time you tried to become that perfect man, you became invisible. The truth is brutal. She only chooses you when she feels vulnerable before you, not from physical fear, but from psychological admiration. She only becomes obsessed with the one she cannot control. And this is where your awakening begins. When you become her comfort zone, you die in her desire. Because feminine desire is never born from security. It's born from imbalance, from that invisible tension that keeps her wondering if she truly has you. Her emotional addiction is built on micro doses of uncertainty, not on an excess of validation. And I'm going to prove it to you. She doesn't fall in love when you protect her from everything. She falls in love when she feels that her emotional power doesn't break you. What makes her fall in love is not that you put her first, but that you always put yourself first, even above her. That's not selfishness. It's the language of value, because the man who chooses himself will always be more desirable than the one who chooses her over his own dignity. Does it sound harsh? I'm not selling you a fairy tale. I'm offering you the antidote to romantic self-destruction. Every time you said yes to avoid an argument, you dug your own emotional grave. Every time you ignored her disrespect, every time you gave in out of fear of losing her, you weakened your position. She won't do it consciously, but if she feels she can break you, she will test it. And if she realizes there's no resistance, she gets bored. Because what she really seeks, though she'll never admit it, is emotional structure. A wall she can push against that doesn't fall. But here's the mistake that 90% of men make. They believe attraction is earned by pleasing her. Fatal mistake. Attraction is maintained when you represent an emotional challenge. When your validation isn't free, when your attention is a reward, not a subsidy. Sexual polarity needs friction. If you are all softness, she cannot find the contrast she needs to desire you. And that contrast isn't about shouting or dominating. It's about firmness, about knowing exactly when to say no, about holding your boundaries even when she cries, about not selling your self-respect in exchange for her kisses. Do you know when she finally starts to see you as a real man? When her drama no longer moves you. When she can cry, scream, throw tantrums, and you still don't shift your stance. Not because you're heartless, but because you have principles. Because you never negotiate your emotional value. And when that happens, she begins to see you differently. She desires you more. She respects you more because deep inside, she realizes you cannot be manipulated. She senses that her games don't work on you, that you're not a man who can be tamed. And that very thought turns her on. No matter how strong the physical attraction is, if she doesn't feel she could lose you, she will never invest emotionally. It's that simple, music. And all this time, you've been giving your soul to someone who never truly bet on you. That ends today. Because in the next few minutes, you're going to learn the art of making yourself desired. But before that, you must deprogram yourself. Everything they told you about how to treat a woman, we're going to rewrite it. Because this isn't about mistreating her. It's about ending the mistreatment of yourself. The lie was that being good is enough. It's not. True attraction begins the moment you stop fearing rejection. When you no longer crave her approval just to feel worthy. When you can look into her eyes and say, "This is who I am. You can take it or leave it, but I will not betray myself to keep you." That is the moment everything changes. She begins to see you differently because now she doesn't just like you, she respects you. And respect, my friend, is the only foundation that makes desire last. We're going to rebuild you from within, because if she's going to love you, let it be for who you are, not for who you pretend to be. And that man begins to be born today. There's something self-help books never told you. Something no influencer dares to say out loud for fear of being cancelled. The female brain is not designed to respect a man who's afraid to make her uncomfortable. That's why when you act with excessive care, hoping to be the good guy, you trigger her defense system, not her desire. This isn't machismo, it's biology, raw and ancient. For thousands of years, women depended on instinct to choose the strongest man, not the most submissive one. The man who showed authority, stability, emotional control, because only that kind of man could protect, lead, and ensure survival. And even though we no longer live in caves, the emotional software hasn't evolved much. Her subconscious still searches for the same thing. Power, not violent power, not control, but emotional power. Unshakable self-confidence, the ability to set boundaries without fear, to walk your path without asking for permission, to respect yourself so deeply that both the world and she have no choice but to respect you too. When you avoid conflict out of fear of losing her, she doesn't see kindness, she sees weakness. Your very DNA signals, I'm not fit to protect, I'm only fit to obey. And the moment she senses that, her desire begins to die. Maybe not instantly, maybe she'll stay for a while, but something inside her disconnects, and you won't even notice it happening. You become invisible, irrelevant, because what once felt like attraction slowly turns into quiet disappointment. Now listen carefully, most of her tests aren't conscious. She doesn't think, let me test if he's a leader or a follower. They're automatic, instinctive behavioral triggers, arriving late on purpose, ignoring your messages, contradicting you for no reason, questioning your confidence just to see if you hesitate. All of these are tests of respect. And without realizing it, you fail them because you believe love is earned by pleasing. You never learn that respect is earned by challenging. Every time you give in without resistance, she doesn't feel grateful. Music. She feels let down because her instinct recognizes it instantly. You're not the kind of man who can lead. And if she can't trust you to lead, she can't admire you. And if she can't admire you, she can never truly desire you. This is where Machiavelli comes in. He understood something most men never grasp, that the perception of power is often more important than power itself. It doesn't matter if you know your worth. If you fail to project it through decisive action, the world won't recognize it, and neither will she. Every time you give in just to avoid conflict, you show her that your emotions are negotiable. And when emotions are negotiable, so is your value. Here's a brutal truth you must tattoo in your mind. Every time you justify your position, you lose a piece of your power. A king doesn't explain his decisions. A leader doesn't ask for permission to lead. You are not here to be approved. You are here to set direction. That truth is reflected in everything. In the way you speak, in the way you walk, in how you respond to her sarcasm, in how you handle her silence. You don't react, you decide. That's the line separating an emotional leader from an emotional follower. And do you know what happens when, for the first time, she meets a man who doesn't tremble in front of her emotions? She gets confused, she feels unsteady, she feels something she can't explain, deep magnetic attraction, because you just shattered her pattern. She's used to men who bend to sad looks, to complaints, to emotional blackmail. But you don't. You stay calm. You stay firm. And that forces her to see you differently, to wonder who you truly are, to respect you, even if she never admits it aloud. Here's the darkest secret no one tells you. Respect always comes before love, always. Never the other way around. When she respects you first, love can bloom. But if she loves you without respecting you, that love will die the moment the first test appears. Because without respect, there is no real emotional investment. So your mission isn't to make her like you more, it's to make her respect you more. How? Through consistency, through firmness, through strategic detachment, through refusing to reward bad behavior with good attitude, through not explaining your boundaries but living them. And listen carefully. This isn't about being cold or cruel. It's about showing that you are a man with a center, a man with vision, a man with inner power. Because that kind of man is rare. And when he appears, he cannot be ignored. So every time you feel the urge to give in out of fear of losing her, stop, breathe, and remember this. If you surrender your power for love, you'll lose both. But if you hold your power, even if she walks away, you can only win. Because lost respect can never be regained with flowers. It's only rebuilt through transformation. And that transformation begins today. In the next section, I'm going to show you how to apply this in real life. How How to go from the nice guy who allows everything to the unshakable man she would never dare to test. There's an invisible line between the pain that destroys a woman and the pain that makes her addicted to you. A line so thin that most men cross it without realizing it and lose. Today you're going to learn how to walk that line with mastery, because if you don't know how to manage pain, you'll either break yourself or break her, and in both cases you lose. Let's make one thing clear from the start. This is not a call to be cruel. It's not about manipulating, hurting, or humiliating. It's about understanding that pain in a relationship is not just inevitable. It's necessary. The problem isn't pain itself. The problem is that you were never taught how to use it. And if you don't know how to use it, she won't know how to respect you either. There are two kinds of pain. Destructive pain is born from fear, bitterness, and resentment. It's the kind insecure men create, punishing with silence, shouting, emotional indifference. That kind of pain builds nothing. It only destroys. But then there's constructive pain, the kind that appears when you stand firm in your boundaries, when you refuse to be manipulated, when she tries to pull you into her drama and you simply don't play the game. That pain transforms her, because in that moment, you teach her that the old rules don't work with you, that you don't react like everyone else, that you're not afraid to lose her if keeping her means betraying yourself. And even if she doesn't understand it logically, a part of her starts to admire you, because for the first time, she's met a real man. Let me give you a brutal example. She's upset because you didn't reply to her message within 5 minutes. She texts you, "Are you ignoring me?" The average man rushes to justify himself, thinking explanations will calm her, but they do the opposite. He panics, he apologizes. He explains where he was, who he was with, why he didn't reply, and in doing so, he hands her the power without realizing it. But the man who understands constructive pain responds differently. Calmed, grounded, unmoved, he replies hours later, not out of spite, but because he was genuinely busy living his life. And when he does respond, it's simple. "I was occupied, what's up?" No apology, no justification. That response creates discomfort in her, not because he's rude, but because her usual leverage didn't work. She feels a small sting, a realization that she cannot control his time or attention. And that sting, handled correctly, turns into attraction, because power has shifted back into balance. She begins to chase clarity, to seek reassurance without demanding it, and without knowing why, she invests more emotionally than before. This is constructive pain. Short, clean, honest. It doesn't wound, it awakens. Now compare that to destructive pain. The man who ignores her for days just to punish her, who withdraws affection to make her suffer, who uses silence as revenge. That man isn't powerful, he's insecure, and she feels it instantly. Instead of attraction, she feels anxiety, resentment, and eventually contempt. And once contempt appears, desire is already dead. So understand this clearly. The goal is never to make her suffer. The goal is to make her feel the consequence of her behavior without losing your composure. You don't punish, you don't lecture, you simply remove access to your energy when boundaries are crossed. That restraint is what separates a disciplined man from a reactive one, because the man who reacts emotionally is still being led. The man who stays centered is the one leading. This is why silence, when used correctly, is powerful, not as a weapon but as a statement. Silence says, "I'm not available for chaos." And that message lands deeper than any argument ever could. When she realizes she cannot provoke you into losing control, she begins to regulate herself around you, not out of fear, out of respect. And that's when the dynamic shifts. She becomes more cooperative, more feminine, more open, because she feels safe. Safe in the presence of a man who isn't ruled by emotion. This safety is misunderstood. It's not comfort. It's containment, a structure strong enough to hold emotion without collapsing. Most men crumble under emotional pressure. That's why so few inspire long-term desire. But when you become that structure, she relaxes into you. And in that relaxation, attraction deepens. From this point forward, you move differently. You speak less, but with more weight. You listen more, but you reveal less. Every action becomes deliberate. You no longer rush to explain yourself. You no longer chase clarity. You allow silence to do the work weaker men try to do with words. Because silence forces reflection, and reflection forces growth, either in her or in you. If she steps closer, it's because she feels your gravity. If she steps away, you let her go without resistance. Attachment is what breaks men. Detachment is what sharpens them. You stop asking, "How do I keep her?" and start asking, "Do I even want this dynamic?" That question alone puts you back in control. Because a man who chooses is a man who leads. A man who waits to be chosen is already beneath her. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care without losing yourself. You give affection freely, not as a bargain. You withdraw attention cleanly, not as punishment. That clarity is rare, and rarity creates value. She may resist at first. Most do. Power shifts are uncomfortable, but eventually she adapts or she leaves. And either outcome is a win, because you no longer abandon yourself to keep someone else. That is the moment you become dangerous, not to her, but to every old weakness that once controlled you. This is where your old fears make their last stand. The fear of being alone. The fear of being misunderstood. The fear of not being enough. They will whisper that you're doing too much, that you should soften, explain, chase. Ignore them. Those voices were built in weakness. Strength feels unfamiliar at first. That's why most men abandon it before it has time to reward them. But if you stay steady, something shifts. Not overnight, not dramatically. Quietly, you begin to trust yourself, your decisions, your boundaries, your instincts, and self-trust is the foundation of confidence no one can take from you. She may test you again, harder this time. Silence, distance, provocation. Not because she wants to lose you, but because she wants to know if you're real. And when you don't flinch, when you don't chase, when you don't collapse, she understands. This man is solid. That realization changes how she invests, how she speaks, how she behaves. Because she now knows there are consequences to crossing your boundaries, not punishment, reality. You don't threaten to leave, you simply are willing to. And that willingness is the ultimate position of power. At this stage, attraction is no longer forced. It flows naturally from who you are, not what you do. You've stopped performing masculinity and started embodying it. And embodiment is what creates consistency. No highs, no crashes, just presence. She feels that stability and relaxes into it. Because chaos only excites for a moment. Stability sustains desire. This is why relationships with emotional men burn hot and die fast. And relationships with grounded men grow slow and deep. You no longer fear losing her, because you've already found yourself. And a man who has found himself is never truly alone. Whether she stays or goes, you remain whole. That wholeness is what makes you rare. Not loud, not aggressive, not manipulative, just centered, just real, just unshakable. And that is the power most men spend their lives chasing. You now carry it quietly,